So, after I finished the HBO series Oz for the first time, I was really excited to see what people had to say about it online. This is because I had largely avoided reading about it since I wanted to finish the show unspoiled first. Once I did, and I'm still only one watch in, I immediately went to YouTube and Reddit to see what people had to say. I saw a post on the Oz subreddit the other day that gave me the idea for this video. It was a list of a few of the common fan theories about Oz, and I found a lot of them really interesting. So today, I want to look at a couple of them and also give you a couple of my own. The first theory I want to talk about is fairly straightforward. It basically states that all of the inmates in Oz have died and went to purgatory, purgatory being the prison itself. The poster goes on to explain that the guards and staff are all angels and demons who are judging the prisoners based on their actions. Now, I find this theory fairly interesting, but I have a couple of issues with it. First of all, this just isn't how purgatory works. See, Christians believe that purgatory is like a waiting room for heaven. Once you've made it to purgatory, you're 100% going to heaven, and this means there would be no need for angels and demons to judge the prisoners anyways. Many characters also leave and come back. Boost, Malice, and Alvarez escape and are brought back, and Beecher is released and violates parole. There are just a lot of things that don't line up with the Christian versions of heaven, hell, and purgatory, and this is important to me since the author of the post specifically states that this is the Christian version, and even that the other Christians are somehow aware they're in purgatory. One of the defining traits of purgatory that separates it from hell is hope and the knowledge that you'll one day be with God. So if you're in purgatory, you would pretty much have to know that you're there. I also think that the most simple argument against this theory is just that honestly most of these characters would be in hell. A good percentage of the characters are still committing crimes and living more or less the same lifestyle on the inside as they did when they were free. These people who are unrepentant, at least under the Christian religion, would just be sent to hell. This next one is a comment on the post of the purgatory one, but it isn't really related. It has to do with Vern Schillinger's murder of his own son, Andy. After Andy is sent to Oz, Tobias Beecher, who has been Vern's enemy since episode 1, takes Andy under his wing to get back at Vern. Beecher is eventually able to turn Andy against his father and his father's hateful ways, so his father responds by having someone deliver him heroin while he's in solitary, and he knows that his son won't be able to resist because solitary fucking sucks. Andy ends up overdosing and dying, and this leads to the next theory. It basically goes like this. Schillinger killed his son Andy, not because Andy denounced him and his ways to his face, but because he realized Beecher had him exactly where he wanted him. Vern believed that Beecher was eventually going to start torturing and raping Andy just like Vern did to him. I mean, Beecher even said that's what he was gonna do. I'm just not sure if he meant it or not. Vern wanted to spare his son the pain, and probably more so himself the shame. Now, I like this theory a lot, even though there's really no hard evidence to support it. When Vern is venting about his son's betrayal so angrily to his friends after having him killed, it's interesting to wonder if all of that aggression was covering up for the fact that Vern knew Beecher had won and essentially forced him to kill his own son. So for this one, the original post here is a question. The poster asked people's opinions on if Adebisi wallered out Kenny Wangler. Now, I'm just going to start by saying my opinion. I think it could go either way, but I tend to believe that many wallerings took place. I think there are reasons for both arguments, I just don't think the reasons for not are very strong. Probably the strongest argument is the obvious and what is shown in the show. The happy birthday Kenny scene is pretty suggestive, and Adebisi literally ties Wangler to the bed naked at night. Now on Google, it says that the reason he did this is some kind of militant Nigerian training to try and toughen Wangler up, but like, why does he have to do it naked? Is that part of it? I've heard people argue against this theory by saying Wangler's black, like everyone we see Adebisi get with or try to get with is white, but I don't know, I don't really like this argument. Looking at just these few details, I still think there's a chance it could go both ways, but the strongest argument for essays not taking place would be that the show has never been shy about showing rape before, so why would they just not show it here? If that's what they were trying to imply, why be so underhanded now all of a sudden? But as numerous other people pointed out, some of the looks Wangler gives Adebisi combined with everything else has me leaning more towards it being likely that Wangler was sodomized by Adebisi. The next theory is actually my own, and there's literally zero evidence to support it, but I think Season 6 just sucks so bad, I'm fine with making up my own headcanon. The relationship between Wolfgang Cutler and James Robson begins after Robson is disowned by the Aryan Brotherhood. Left to face the many enemies he had made through his hatred without protection, Robson opts to give that ass up to Cutler in exchange for that protection. As you could probably guess, Robson grows tired of this arrangement fairly quickly and decides to kill Cutler. After Cutler is killed by Robson, Cutler very strangely leaves all of his earthly possessions to Miguel Alvarez, another inmate who he's barely spoken to. Miguel has no idea why Cutler did this and tries to get answers from Cutler's still living girlfriend. She begins to visit and they actually end up falling in love. Now this storyline makes absolutely zero sense to me and it's not really ever explained at all. I want to preface my own theory by saying it was influenced by a lot of other theories I've read online, and it takes aspects from each. A lot of people online bring up the copious amounts of deleted scenes for this show, and not just when it comes to this little issue. This plays a part in my theory, as I think there are deleted scenes that may flesh things out a little better. I think at some point there was a scene or scenes that showed Miguel Alvarez maybe saving Cutler or having his back in some capacity. Maybe it wasn't even directly, maybe Cutler just noticed something he liked from afar or respected. I think that Cutler may have sensed his death was coming and knew he wouldn't be able to be with his girlfriend much longer, and I believe it's very possible it was his way of keeping control, and like many others have said, that Cutler left his things to Miguel to draw him and his girlfriend closer. Maybe once the scenes between Miguel and Cutler were scrapped, the writers just ended up making it ambiguous, and that's why the storyline feels so lazy and pointless. I really feel like the show had the potential for a much better ending, but that's a topic for another video. All in all, this theory is just kind of something I made up in my head after reading a few different people's opinions online, and is really just there to help me get past the abysmal writing in Season 6. The last theory I want to talk about is also my personal opinion, and it has to do with Shirley Bellinger. She's in Oz for drowning her daughter by running her into a lake with her car, and I found her annoying at times, but overall enjoyed her storyline, and her execution scene was great. Throughout Shirley's stay on death row, she entertains relationships with a few different male prisoners and even a guard. Before her execution by hanging, Shirley gets pregnant by somebody in Oz, either a prisoner or a guard. Shirley gives hints, but it's never explicitly stated who the father is. Now, my theory is that Shirley is actually wrong about who the father is. Shirley tells Father Makata neither rain nor snow before she is executed, which would lead him and the audience to believe the father is Vern Schillinger since he worked the mailroom and was delivering to death row. So if Bellinger implies that Vern is the father, who do I think the real father actually is? Well, I think it's the guard Lepresi. He's the only one we actually see get with Bellinger, and it's implied he does it pretty often. For one reason or another, I think Shirley would rather believe, or actually does believe, that Vern is the father, leading her to say what she does to Makata. A lot of people also think Timmy Kirk could be the father since he has his satanic possession arc, and Shirley claims that the father of her baby is Satan at one point. I think this is pretty easy to write off since she killed her first baby because she thought it was Satan spawn, so this just comes off as more of the same insanity to me. Alright, so that's all I've got for you guys today. Let me know what you guys think. If you like me going over Oz, I really like covering it. If you have any shows that you want me to go over, I will definitely be on the lookout for those. Like I said earlier, I'm only one watch through in of Oz, so if I got some stuff wrong, please feel free to let me know. I'm sure you will. Now, as always, I appreciate everybody watching, and I hope you all have a blessed day.